Hello my viewer and welcome again to Catherine Goy's channel. Muthenya wa umuthi nitugukorwo tukirehe a debate or an interview na one of the psychologists that is well known in this country. Na ndirakoretwo ngikura in the previous video ati niturikoragwo tukigayana maundu maingi muno ni tondu wa maundu maria makoragwo kuo thiini wa muturire na thiini wa maundu maria matukoraga. So I want to welcome you. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel na angikorwo ni gucoka wacoka nigetha wirorere video ino. Karibu sana sana sana. Nie njitagwo Catherine Wagoi na ndirenda guku inspire muthenya wa umuthi na ndirenda gukorwo introduce my guest ni tondu ni njui ni atuhaririirie maundu maingi muno ni tondu wa gukorwo tugi sharpen each other. Toria twiritwo ni kiugo kia Ngai ni ati andu akwa moraga ni kwaga umenyo na nie ngakiuga atiriri iron sharpens iron na nikio ndakurehera mugeni wakwa muthenya wa umuthi nigetha tukorwo tukirehe undu ukoretwo uri kuo muno na andu aingi matitaukagwo what is happening until maybe when it is too late. Ogwo, sit back and see what we have today. I want to welcome my guest. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. My name is Joseph Nginya. I am a counseling psychologist by training and by profession, teaching in the Faculty of Psychology and Counseling in the university. And I'm also a practicing psychologist, consulting for different organizations in the main area of wellness, running staff wellness programs for some organizations in this country. I'm married, and I'm a father, a brother, and also a son.
Wow.
And I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Most welcome
Thank
to
you.
Catherine Wagoi channel. And here what we are basically doing is encouraging people, because I came to notice that there's so much commotion, especially nowadays. There's so much, what do we call them, killings and all that in the families, in marriages. Our children are committing suicide. And I want us basically to go to the core thing. What is bringing all these? Niki kiratuma tukorwo na maundu maingi u? Niki kirehete all these? And what I noted is that ni andu aria anini muno, it is a certain age bracket. Ni ithuĩ tũgũmĩirwo nĩ maũndũ macio. I don't know what you'll tell us, or in your training, in your career, have you faced this?
Oh yes, and thank you so much, Catherine, for having me and even for asking this question. One of the things that I like saying most of the time, and maybe my students will tell you that I talk about it a lot, is that before you become the man that you are or the woman that you are, the first thing you are is that you're a human being.
Sure.
And a human being has feelings, a human being has emotions, a human being feels a certain way. And the inability to deal with those feelings, the inability to deal with those emotions will lead to this person looking for some form of escape. And if this person does not have the ability to regulate emotions ici yake na feelings ici yake, at the end of the day, it might come out in a way that was not anticipated. So I have seen a lot of this, and I want to first of all say that we are living in very stressful times. WHO has actually confirmed that Kenya is the 6th most depressed country in Africa.
Oh my.
And they're also saying that we are ranked 9th globally. So what that means is that there's a lot of stress. You could be living with a spouse who is depressed. You could be living with a child who is depressed or dealing with so much pressure. You could also be working with a workmate who is going through so much stress. You could be living with a parent who is also having so much stress. So, and then we're also living during the time of COVID-19 pandemic, which came and wreaked so much havoc. And it takes a lot of effort and courage for someone to be able to survive during this particular time. So you asked whether I have met such people. Yes, I have met such people. What is going on? I would only say that there's just too much pressure, and I don't think most of us are equipped effectively on how to deal with these issues.
Wow, that's quite good. But again, I was thinking, maybe you'll tell me. You once told me we are a product of where we are coming from. I don't know. Could we be coming with baggages from maybe way long ago, maybe in our childhood, maybe something happened and we didn't negotiate that? No gukorwo ati maundu maya ni turakorwo tukima inherit kana ni twamakuire kuma turi ciana tukimarehe tugikari forward tukimarehe on the table ringi ni turahikire namo nake muthurigwo kana mutumia waku agoka namo. You know, when we bring all these, why kigiana this commotion that we are seeing?
It is said that human beings are products of their socialization, or we are products of our socialization. We are products of our upbringing. I even said it yesterday that gima yumaga mutuine. Uguo ni kuga atiriri agikorwo iwe ni we gima umire mutuine. Mutu ni, you know, kuria warerirwo. Studies have shown that children learn through a process called social learning. We learn through observing what is going on in our surrounding. So if you grew up, and of course before you became the woman that you are, you were once a young girl.
Sure.
And you were raised by a mother or a father, or maybe you were raised by a mother, or maybe you were raised by a dad, you know, single mother, single dad. And it's okay. What did you see? Because what you saw is basically what forms part of your socialization. Again, sadly, research has shown that most of the Kenyan households are actually dysfunctional homes, meaning that a big percentage of us, a significant majority of us have grown up in dysfunctional homes. And I've said this so many times. You're busy washing your mother's cups, and then for some reasons, you will hear her shouting from wherever she is. You know, vujeni zote, oraga is your there, you know. But when you hear her saying that, she's not telling you to break the cups. She actually means the opposite. You know, be careful with my cups. I mean, we walked to school and we instead of maybe your mother telling you have a good day, you would be told pitia baraka katikati gari itakuona ikuondokee tajiri wewe. But of course, when you hear her saying that, she's not telling you to walk in the middle of the road.
No.
You know, her talking the way she's talking is part of the inherited trauma, what she carried from her childhood. And then what happens is that if you are a damaged parent, if you do not do anything to deal with the damage, what is going to happen is that you are going to carry that subconsciously. You are going to normalize it because where you are, it has been normalized. And once now you go into your own family, you know, you meet your spouse, you get married, or you marry, then you also form your environment. Remember, you are a product of your environment. Once you mature, you meet with someone, you pair up, you make a family, and then together you form an environment. Now, this is the environment now where your children grow up in. So what is going to happen is that if you never resolve those issues that you're bringing from your family of origin, what's going to happen is that subconsciously you might find yourself projecting them to your own children. And that's where now this cycle keeps on going on and on and on and on. You listen to so many women and you ask them, why do you talk to your children the way you talk to them? They actually can't tell. But subconsciously, if they pay attention, you'll actually maybe even hear your mother's voice at the background. You're likely going to talk to them the same way you are spoken to. Unless if you do something and decide that maybe this cycle is going to end with me. The same case with us, even fathers. You may find yourself struggling to connect with your own children because maybe you grew up with a very passive father, a father who doesn't talk, a father who doesn't say much. So that silence, that not saying much is normalized. So you grow up thinking and telling yourself that a father shouldn't basically bond and talk too much. There's a study that was done by this organization, I think they call themselves Transform Nations, and they were saying that a typical father who lives and works in Nairobi is likely going to spend only 7 minutes with his children, like every day. So the question I was asking myself is, suppose you have 3 children, will these 7 minutes be enough to even inculcate values in them? Will you even have time to pick whether your son or your daughter is being bullied in school? So you find that, yes, we have carried so much trauma coming from our past, and there's this saying that says, if you don't heal from what cut you, you'll bleed on those who did not hurt you.
Wow. That's an insight. And I think this gives us a solution, or rather an answer to so many questions. Or rather to what we have or what we are seeing today. Tondu maundu maria maingi turona riu, like from my side, maybe I can start pinpointing and seeing, haha gani ndaigua ngirwo uguo, agani ndagereire undu muna. And I think it is giving us an answer to what we are seeing today in our marriages, in our children, in the society.
Studies have shown, Kate, that if you're a daughter and you grew up with maybe a father who was emotionally not available, chances are this emotional unavailability is going to be normalized. So even as you go out to maybe look for a suitor or a spouse, you may find yourself gravitating or getting attracted to someone who has similar traits like those of your dad. Not because you're consciously doing it, but because you do not know any other way. Like the way love was modeled is that this person was there, this person was passive, this person wasn't present. Like, even if they were present physically, they were not present emotionally. So what was modeled becomes normalized. And actually studies have shown that people who grew up in homes where relationships were not very healthy, like people were emotionally sort of disconnected, they are likely going to attract similar people who are emotionally disconnected.
Really?
Yes. But unfortunately, subconsciously, they come in a relationship hoping that the other partner, the other person is going to give them what they never got. What they don't know is that maybe this other person might have come from even a more broken or maybe even more damaged environment. So this creates a lot of codependency and acrimony as people try to bully each other into meeting each other's needs, but technically they don't know how, because you can only give what you have. And if you do not have it, then you need to be able to learn how to give it so that you can eventually now be able to give that which you do not have.
Okay. Now I have a question, and it just, popped up. And what we are saying is that we have some childhood trauma.
Yes.
We have issues, we have baggages that we are carrying. And you've said that we can transfer them, or rather we can, give them to our children and all that. When it comes to a spouse, if, for instance, my dad was not available, can I go looking for a man who will love me, or will I go craving for the love that I didn't get?
2 ways. you may grow up with a father who is emotionally unavailable, and if by God's grace or maybe by some intervention you become aware of your traumas and then you work on your traumas, chances are you may be going out there looking for a suitor with some sense of awareness. But if you get stuck, because first of all, trauma happens when the good thing that was supposed to be done wasn't done. And trauma can also happen when a bad thing that was not supposed to be done was done. For instance, every child who is growing up deserves to get, validation, unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. If they do not get these things, they don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they are appreciated. If you grow up in a home where your parents are constantly comparing you with others, why can't you be like so and so? Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? You start feeling insignificant. Actually, there are children who grow up feeling like insignificant children. There are others who grow up feeling like trophy children, very entitled children. And if they are not careful, they can become people who look down on others. They can become very condescending. So if you do not resolve the trauma issues that you had with your father or you've had with your dad, chances are you may even be drawn to wanting to have relationships with a certain category of men, maybe who are even way older than you, because you're looking for what you never got. So you're expecting that this guy, number one, is going to become the father that you never had. It's not that you didn't have a father. The father was there, but never gave you the emotional support that you needed. So you're looking for the father you never had, and you're also looking for someone to love you. What you do not know is that this guy doesn't know how to take care of a grown woman. He only knows how to be a husband.
And maybe he also have some issues.
We all do. I was telling someone we all need some form of therapy because we are all healing from something. Because we have been raised by, we are imperfect people who have been raised by imperfect parents, and we are also imperfect. So none of us can actually qualify to say that we are 100% okay. It's only that maybe the degree of our traumas varies.
Okay. Now, I know what is this that we are talking about? Trauma. What is those childhood traumas and all that?
Trauma is a deeply distressing thing that happens to you. And I have said that trauma is going to come about if the right thing that was supposed to be done was not done. For example, we human beings have a need to be wanted, to be needed, to be loved. And you find this with children. Children want to be loved. Children want to be needed. Children want to be accepted. Children want to be played with. They want you to play with them. They want you to hug them. They want you to give them their attention. If that doesn't happen, then trauma may happen. So the other reason is trauma can also happen when a bad thing that was not supposed to happen happens. For instance, you saw your parents going through maybe divorce and separation. You went through loss. Maybe you lost, maybe you may lose a parent, you may lose a sibling, you may lose a friend. And most of the time, by the way, we don't pay so much attention to children when they are going through loss. Simple things, and they are not simple. Even when the things we do, transferring a child from one school to another school without even processing with them how it makes them feel, you find that this child is going to struggle with loss. Loss of what? Loss of friendship, loss of attachment. And they may even go into the future looking at relationships as very temporary. So they never invest heavily in relationship because they know this relationship may actually end, like the way my stay in a particular school was, cut short. So you find that they are in relationship but they are afraid of committing. They're in relationship but they are afraid of heavily investing in it, because at the back of their mind, subconsciously, they know this thing can end anytime.
that does mean that nitwagirirwo ni involve ciana citu on maybe the plans that we are making.
We need to have a conversation with them. We may be telling ourselves we have an upper hand because, I mean, maybe you may feel like where they are going to school, they are getting a raw deal. But you also need to know that they have formed attachments and relationships where they are. So prepare them in advance, because if this termination and this separation is not done in a seamless way, or in a way that actually needs to be done, it may inflict damage, it may inflict trauma, and this may actually form their worldview about relationships, not just when they are young adults, but even in the future, when they are trying to bond with a potential suitor or a potential marriage partner.
So many things are crossing my mind, by the way. Niko imagine that there's so much, okay, we do maybe tutekumenya.
Yeah.
We don't know that we are doing something that will have an effect much later. Todo, okay, like an issue of transferring your child from one school to another.
Yeah.
It has never hit me at no akoro you know, a circle of friends. Ni mara bondete, ni mara thiete rugendo. And I was also thinking, we get maybe even a transfer. And I have realized maybe it can even affect our children. Todo in the neighborhood, you know, friends and all that. I think we have so much.
That's a thing. Trauma can happen because of some things that may look like very normal day-to-day things. I mean, if, for example, you've stayed in a neighborhood for some time, what you need to know is that you have formed a bond with the people you live with in the neighborhood. Your children have also formed a bond.
Sure.
If this bond is going to be broken because of you relocating or moving to another place, what this means is that your child or you yourself, you'll experience some sense of loss. So if this loss is not dealt with effectively, that's not what we are saying, that it can actually cause some trauma. And sometimes it's so serious in such a way that, as I said before, it's going to even affect our relationships in the future. For instance, people who do not resolve their losses effectively, they will have issues with either attachment or detachment. You find that if I never dealt with my losses effectively, when it comes to something like a relationship, I will be scared to be too attached to someone, because subconsciously I'm telling myself, if I become too attached to Kate, it's only a matter of time before this relationship is disconnected, like the way I was disconnected from my friends, you know, where I used to live in that neighborhood. The other one is that you might become too attached. You get into a relationship and you become overly clingy. You become overly controlling because you don't want to lose this person. You don't want this person to be taken away from you the way your friends were taken away from you in that school you were in that neighborhood you used to live in. So trauma can actually come from some things that look like they are really simple and day-to-day things, that they can also come from very complex issues like maybe loss of someone, an accident like the one you had, you know, and you've spoken about it, and it's good that you've spoken about it to basically let people know that you can be able, one of the ways of actually healing is being able to express and vocalize it, externalize it, and make sure that it's not trapped inside yourself.
Beautiful. Now I'm just thinking, Joseph.
Yes.
Although you told it trauma, it has some effects.
Yes.
What are these effects of this childhood trauma and all that?
Yeah. So the effects of especially the childhood traumas are quite many. Look at, for example, if I grew up in an environment where I wasn't validated, I wasn't appreciated, I wasn't affirmed, I will start having self-esteem issues. Self-esteem, you know, the value that you attach to yourself. This is question I ask, especially during trainings when you're probably trying to take people through issues of self-esteem. If if you are a product for sale, like for example, you are maybe unga ya ugali, or maybe when unga ya chapo, or maybe let's say you are a packet of yogurt.
Yeah.
Which supermarket would you want to find yourself in? I don't want you to mention names because I don't want you to get into trouble. But you see, chances are the supermarket you are going to mention is going to give us an indication of the value that you have given yourself. So if you mention a supermarket that is in a very nice mall somewhere, a high-end place, attracting high-end clients and customers, we are likely going to know the kind of value you've given yourself. But if someone picks a supermarket that is in the middle of, like people say, in the middle of nowhere, in some places tucked somewhere, uko nyuma, that also tells you where the value is. I had a conversation with this gentleman who was telling me how the father kept on using very condescending remarks on him, and that gave him so much anxiety. And he started bedwetting when he was very young.
Oh my.
And some instances of bedwetting have been linked to anxiety as a result of maybe the environment the person is growing up in. And he was telling me that it was so hard growing up because the father kept on telling him, the reason why you bedwet is because you are a coward. You can't even be able to wake up and go to the loo at night. And he knows. I mean, Kate, who wants to bedwet at the age of 13? Who wants to do that? It's people who bedwet are going to tell you that they actually don't feel it. They don't realize it's coming. But it's as a result of too much anxiety that sometimes your body loses coordination. And this went on until when he was in high school. So you can imagine the shame, the doubt, and having to take his beddings outside there. And this is a boys' school, and you know how students have a tendency of tearing each other down. So he grew up with a very dented self-perception of himself. So trauma can make you have serious self-esteem issues. Trauma can make you feel like you're a very insignificant person. You start questioning your capacity and your capability. Trauma can make you get into the wrong relationships because there's an aspect of trauma bonding, which I would want us to talk about maybe in our future segments, where you attract the same type of people that you grew up seeing, the same dysfunctionality that you grew up witnessing. You find yourself gravitating towards those people. So if you grew up in emotionally unavailable environments, people are emotionally unavailable, you attract similar kind of people. So what this means is that this is going to look like an endless cycle, right? Then some instances of trauma can also make you have serious mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and anxiety attacks, panic attacks. And it can also get you to a place where you're feeling completely lonely and completely isolated. But most importantly is that it can make you damage other people, maybe the way you've been damaged.
Wow. Before we go to the next question,
yes,
something came in my mind, and I thought maybe some of us didn't achieve what you wanted because of simply having those childhood traumas.
Yes.
Maybe in school we didn't achieve what we wanted. Maybe even in career-wise we didn't achieve because maybe we have so much, we got so much negativity. And I want you to prove me wrong if I'm thinking, something out of this this conversation.
No, fortunately, you are dead right. Like, if there's anything like that, because and this is something, you've just confirmed something I was telling someone that, unfortunately, some of us grow up in such traumatic environments that you spend an entire lifetime trying to undo something that was done, maybe by a mom, by a dad, by a caregiver, by a sibling. Because if you believe in that lie, that maybe these people have consistently told you that you're not good enough, then you will actually go to work knowing that you are not even supposed to shine because you're not good enough. So until when you try to become self-conscious and become self-aware, and something else I want to link with that, people who have studied issues of mental health and psychology quite significantly say that our states of consciousness are divided into three. There's a conscious, there's a subconscious, and there's the unconscious. Now, it is said that the subconscious is the biggest part of our cognition or of our thinking. And in the subconscious, this is where you find all those things. You know, whatever your mom told you, if you did not bring very good grades, unasikia mama wako amekwambia dedirie ng'ombe gitware ria gisukuru. You know, the cow that is being referred to is you. You know, uko ni kuobesha cia kwa ithiaga, you know. So a very senior media personality the other day shared, and she said that one of the teachers in high school told her that there's nothing good that is going to amount from you as a person. And then a few years later, when they saw that she had succeeded, they actually wanted her to join the board of governors of that school, and she declined. So there are so many of us who have actually believed in the things we were told,
I'm not good
even
enough.
though most of them were actually lies, because these are things that were being said by someone who was basically damaged. And unfortunately, there are people who actually are going to die without having been able to undo that mess. And if you're there and you're listening, and especially you're raising children, I have told this to all my friends who care to listen to me, that we need to end this madness with us. We need to end this cycle with us. There are some things that our children do not have to carry. There are some traumas. Yeah, like don't make your child go sit for therapy one day because of the traumas that you took. You know, let them go for premarital counseling. Let them go and be counseled about workplace issues, you know, but not because of the wounds that you inflicted on them. So yes, there are so many people who have settled for less because they were made to believe that that's actually where you belong. That's your position.
This is becoming even more hotter than I thought. And the next question was, Joseph, how do we cope with this? Because the mess maybe is already done. We can't undo it. But I think having Joseph and others, maybe there's something you can tell my viewer at hari undu tungika undu uria wekirwo ugituma nie njigwe de inferior undu uria wekirirwo thiini wa my mind at I'm not good enough undu uria nderirwo no ge stick into my mind at nima nie ndigikira haria ceiling-ini. How do we cope with that, and can we redo it? Can we amend it mundu akorwo more better gukira uria eciragia ari?
That happens to be one of my favorite questions, because I believe that we should be solution oriented. Yes, there's something you can do. Behavior is learned. In learning, we learn both functional and dysfunctional behaviors. And behavior can be unlearned.
Wow.
So you can unlearn. So the negative things you were told, the negative things you picked, this dented self-image you grew up with, you can actually be able to change yourself. But number one, you have to be very intentional about it. You have to decide that I want to change. And before you even decide what you're changing, you have to be aware. There is a technique or there is a theory that is used in the process of counseling and therapy. It's called the psychoanalytic approach. One of my favorite actually approaches, where you journey with a person back to their childhood. You ask them to share about everything they can remember about their growing up, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as they talk about their experiences, you identify the common themes and the common patterns. You know, which are these patterns that you can see? if you are keen to follow as people talk about their issues, there are clear patterns you can see that can actually tell you this is where your trauma is coming from, this is where your issues are coming from. And then once that happens, there's of course therapy for such people. You can help them, you can take them through the process of healing, unpacking the trauma, dealing with the trauma, and then eventually they start living a free, trauma-free life. When you are able to unpack the trauma, some of these things are very, very, very painful. I see people breaking down, going back and trying to unearth some of these things. But which is better? To live with them, or to go back and maybe feel emotional a bit and then heal and then pick up yourself and move on? So there's help for such people. And one of the things is to basically be open about your experiences and realize that you're not the only one who has gone through this. We are many. Yeah, I actually said every one of us needs some form of therapy because we are healing from something. If you're keen enough to go back, maybe your trauma may not have come from home. Your trauma may have come from maybe the school you went to. Your trauma may have come from the experiences you went through, maybe even in your workplace. Your traumas may have come from the neighborhood, people that you interacted with. You may have had maybe very loving parents who gave you all the emotional attention that you needed, but there are some other things. Maybe children, the people you played with, making fun of you. Kama wewe ni mfupi wanakuambia wewe ni mfupi sana, unaweza endesha panado kama taya, you know, ama wewe ni mweusi mpaka ukitoka nje giza inasema you know,
those tiny details.
Like I tell people, I had issues with my second name. I started using my name intentionally in my adulthood because I was terrorized and I was traumatized because of my name. And I realized that one of the things I needed to do to heal from this trauma is to actively use my name. I actually stopped so much using my father's name because I wanted to, not that I have issues with him, but I realized that I was using it as an escape. So I owned my second name, and I feel nothing these days. I am okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I healed from that.
Wow. You said something interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Either there, you know, we have issues.
Yeah.
But it is so sad that mundu eciragia no way.
Yeah.
Ati ni ngirerwo ngigena, you know, ngithira maundu maingi ngigerera o, and you tend to think I am alone. How do we help those people? Todo they are out there thinking that nyonaga ngania hana nona we ndari mathina akoragwo namo, uyu enjoy life, amelelewa vizuri. How do we help those people? And again, Joseph, what are these symptoms? Todo andu aingi ona tutiwe we have this, you know, trauma. Kana rege ukona mundu akibehave undu muna, you don't know that this person is behaving this way because he's coming from somewhere. What are some of these symptoms?
The main symptoms of trauma is basically, number one, you may find yourself struggling, especially in the area of your own identity. Identity is a clear understanding of who you are. Identity is being able to... Identity is the perception you have about yourself. So if you have trauma issues, you may struggle to actually figure out who you are. People ask you who you are and you actually do not know how to answer this question. The other thing is that you may find yourself struggling in the area of relationships. Either relationships with your loved ones, and loved ones here would mean maybe family members. Family members would be your parents, your siblings, and also maybe the extended family. The other thing is that you may find yourself struggling with your friends and your acquaintances. Maybe you're at work and you find that people are very keen to sort of befriend you, but you find yourself pushing them away. You're not very keen. The other one is that you may find yourself struggling in the area of relationships that you have romantically. This is maybe your partner or your spouse. Yeah. You're coming with very high expectations. You're expecting, if it's a husband, this is someone who is going to be the father I never had. So you want him to double up as a husband and a father.
To you now.
To you. Yeah. And I've also seen guys who have serious issues of wanting to be needed and to be wanted. Someone who, even when you're sleeping at night, they are consistently telling you to hold them because they were never mothered enough, or maybe they have attachment issues with their own mothers. They never felt like they were loved enough by their own mothers. So they are very needy.
Yeah.
So they want you as a wife to be not just a wife, but also a mother. And sometimes you're not a mind reader. I mean, you're never a mind reader. So you may never know that this person is going through these struggles. So because these people are very needy, chances are their needs are never going to be met. Their emotional needs, their physical needs, even their sexual needs may not be effectively met because they're not just using them for what they are. They are using them to meet their needs. So you find that there's a lot of dissatisfaction in these relationships, and there might be a lot of acrimony in these relationships. Yeah. The other thing is that these people may also look for ways and means. Like, for example, it is said that too much use of social media could be a trauma response. You're trying to escape from facing your own reality, seeking validation and acceptance from social media. You post photos, and when people don't give them enough likes, you become depressed. You're very bothered about how lit your selfies are. If you think they're not good enough, you become very, very depressed as a person. So you're seeking validation, you're seeking acceptance out there, and then when you do not get it, you become very depressed. Another thing is that you may find yourself having issues with regulating your emotions. You have very erratic mood swings, and sometimes we excuse our teenagers because they are still developing. You're not a teenager, but you're behaving like someone who doesn't really know how to regulate their feelings and their emotions. The other thing is that you may find yourself hurting other people the same way that you are hurt. So you may find yourself inflicting similar traumas on other people, maybe on the same measure that was accorded to you.
I thought this is where we will start, because deep down within me, when I thought of inviting you here, I thought like twina maundu maingi muno na thiini wakwa ngeigua some of them are originating from where we are coming from. And I'm saying this with a lot of humility, tondu andu aria tureretwo twi hau uguo 40s and 50s, we have so much. Na nĩ tũgũmĩirwo nĩ maũndũ maingĩ. Ihiko nĩ irathiĩ, ũkarigwo what has happened. Kĩhiko kĩa more than 20 years nĩ gĩathira. Why? How? And we need to heal. We need to start from somewhere. We need to move on. And we need to tell our children that all is not lost. Na no tũhote gũthondeka whatever mess is there or whatever mess was done. And bringing a question to that, how are we going to cope with whatever was done? Okay, maybe from my experience, a teacher told me, we all have no, aga kurigithania with maybe your parent, he knows or she knows your parent, we all have no ngania, and that's sticking in my mind, such that maybe I'm not even able to achieve what I was supposed to achieve. How are these people going to achieve their goals, or how are they going to cope? The damage is already done. How are we going to cope with that? Toko negotiate at.
Very good question. And whether you are married or not, and I say this very categorically, the first thing you are is that you are a human being. Because even you, before you met your husband, Samuel, Samuel was first of all an individual, and then you're an individual. If Samuel has trauma and you have trauma, then it means that these are two people who are coming with baggage, and most of the time that's what happens. We come with our own baggage. Ruhani haria heragwo atiriri, you have to be willing to first of all heal as an individual. I would challenge every person who is viewing, try to take a journey back to your childhood. Try to even maybe sit down with a pen and a paper, list down the good, the bad, and the ugly. The things, the experiences you went through. Those things are actually going to tell you, and they are going to inform you probably where your traumas could be coming from. If they are there. Then once you're done with your past, look at now the people you've been relating with, guys you've been going out with, because sometimes we hang out with people who are not good for us, people who are not helping us to become a better version of ourselves. And this is where now you decide that for me to heal, I have to be intentional. I have to be intentional about my journey. I have to be intentional about this process. And once you identify that these are my areas of weakness and these are my areas where I need help, then help is there. Reach out to someone. And especially our own men. I was very saddened by some very sad news that are saying that out of every 10 funerals you attend, 8 are likely going to be men and only 2 are likely going to be women. A conversation we'll have another day about how toxic masculinity has affected us men, the way we were raised. Ati mwanaume ni pesa, mwanaume ni wallet, mwanaume ni, you know, ati machozi ya mwanaume inamwagika kwa tumbo.
How?
Ati ukiwachwa wachika, you know, and then that has made us to sort of shy away from being able to be true about how we feel. It's like issues of mental health and us have been actually stigmatized. We do not talk about what is ailing us, and you find that we end up dying premature deaths because of some lies that were told to us. I want to remind our men that the first thing you are before you become a man, you are a human being. A human being is made up of several dimensions. You are emotional, you are psychological, you are intellectual, you are sexual, you are social, you are spiritual. And all these dimensions have to be in sync for you to be a functional individual and a functional human being. So, you have to value yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. And I keep on saying, we take care of our children, we take care of our parents, and sometimes we don't take care of ourselves. Self-care that does not involve yourself is actually incomplete. If you find that you're hanging out with people who are not helping you, you know, kick them out. You know, don't let anyone live in your head and they're not paying rent to live in your head. Kick them out and raise the rent. Yeah? Because if you do not purpose to be intentional about your journey of healing, then you will end up living for people. You'll end up passing on these traumas to your children, and then your children are likely going to pass them to others. A time has come, kid. Those of us, especially who are parents and you're raising young children, we have to promise ourselves that I do not want to pass on wounds anymore. I want to pass knowledge. I want to pass on wisdom. This cycle has to end with us.
Wow. This has, brought me to something else, Joseph. Huh?
Yes.
Allow me to call this madness. There's something that we were told, ati mwanaume haliangi, as you said, ati na mwanamke ni kuvumilia. And I guess, and you'll prove me wrong, that's why we have some issues today, especially in our marriages. Because maybe you're in a toxic marriage, because you don't want to go, sijui watu watasema nini, ado mekugate anedera pakire dera inuka, agokuwate ni ado aito ne society, ne neighbors, no. I mean, can we end this madness ya kwirado? And I'm sorry to use that word. Can we end it ya kwira ciana citu ati wona wathie kihiko-ini kiu we umirerie wagirirwo ndi gukirereria you know nawe we muthuri agirirwo ni gukorwo ndariraga ndonagia andu maithori ndekagona nona. I mean, are we going to tell our children as it is?
There's something I've always said, Catherine, that relationships are supposed to be warm. Relationships are supposed to be nurturing. Relationships are supposed to bring out the best in you. If a relationship stunts your growth, your growth has been stunted. If a relationship becomes a constant source of your psychological disturbance, if a relationship takes away your peace, you need to ask yourself, have you shifted your goalposts in terms of what you envisioned for a relationship? But again, listen to what I said at the beginning. A significant majority of us have grown up in dysfunctional homes where these patterns have been normalized. You see your mother going through hell and she stays. You see your dad going through hell and he stays. So by staying, what these people are telling you is that it's okay to be in a relationship like this. It is what is in your subconscious that is actually triggering you to want to hang on and stay. You also don't want to probably to see your children growing up without maybe a dad, without a mother. But what you're forgetting is that by staying, you're also teaching them that you're actually teaching them how relationship should not look like. So what I would say is, if there are issues that are cropping up in a relationship, please seek help. Seek help. Yeah? Some relationships are not good for us. Some relationships are not healthy for us. And we have to be honest with each other. There are some relationships that are not good for you. There are some relationships that are toxic. And if a relationship is toxic and maybe the two of you know that you're not willing to do the work to honestly work through your issues, I think you need to think about it. And if the possible thing to do is to end this relationship, I would rather you end it and remain happy or pursue happiness elsewhere, rather than staying and then killing someone's child, or maybe the two of you losing yourselves, or maybe even losing yourself, you losing your sanity, losing your peace in the name of a relationship.
It's like we are starting, And Joseph, I'm so glad that you came. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I know that you'll share the wealth that you have with my audience, because we want to heal, we want to move on, we want to create a conducive environment for us and our children, and also the generations to come. Thank you so much, and I can't sign out without mentioning that we are so thankful. Karibu sana next time. And maybe you can tell us where to find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you, Catherine, and your entire crew for this job that you're doing of trying to promote wellness the best way you know how.
Sure.
So many people are languishing in issues and they don't know how to resolve them and deal with them.
Yeah.
And I want to appeal to everyone who is listening to us here today. One of the things that I have learned after being in this field for the number of years I've been in it is that you can actually talk about anything. There is nothing you cannot talk about. Some of the issues that are making you remain trapped and remain traumatized and you're not even being able to progress in life, these are things you can actually be able to sit down with someone, unpack and find healing and find relief. Some of the issues that are blocking you from progressing and going to the next level, maybe these are things that were said by an angry mother, an angry teacher, an angry dad, a traumatized sibling of yours. These are things that you can actually be able to heal yourself from. And then focus on a journey of intentional healing. And you will be surprised at how possible it is for you to be able to unleash the person who is seated inside of you. So it's been a pleasure unpacking that and having this conversation. I have a practice at Comet House, which is just next to Anniversary Towers. Comet House, first floor, room number 17. That's where I operate from. The name of the organization is Eden Consultants, where all your wellness needs are going to be catered for.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
What maybe you have not told us is how can we reach you via maybe a phone number or email?
Yeah, I am reachable on phone, and please, if you happen to call and maybe you do not get to reach me, you can leave a message, because at times I may be in class, or maybe at time I may also be in sessions, and most of the time when I'm in sessions, I do not pick up calls, but I will surely come back to you if you leave a message. So my number is 0723 86 96 82.
Wow.
0723 86 96 82. Then I'm also reachable on email at nginyajoseph@gmail.com. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joseph. God bless you. Nĩ ndakena mũno mũthikĩrĩria wakwa nĩ gũkorwo na mwĩroreri wakwa nĩ gũkorwo twĩ hamwe nawe mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ. God bless you nĩ gũkorwo ũikarĩte oro hau. Nĩ ndĩretĩkia atĩ ũndũ ũrĩa twakorwo tũkĩgayana niĩ nawe mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ nĩ wakorwo ũrĩ wa ũteithio kũrĩ we. Na ngwenda gũkwĩrĩra atĩ nĩ tũrĩkoragwo twĩna such conversations maita maingĩ nĩgetha tũkorwo tũkĩhona kũrĩ maũndũ macio mothe twakorwo tũkĩarĩrĩria na mangĩ maingĩ. Nĩ tondũ nĩ njũĩ there is a lot that has happened and that is happening, no tuhote kuheal out of all that. And until next time, I say bye-bye and God bless you. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.